Hey, what's up you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my general review of Season 3 of the CW's The Vampire Diaries. And yeah, I know I haven't done one of these in a while, but that's because it took me a while to get through Season 3 of this show. And, it's because, I don't know, I have school going on. It's my last few months of high school, actually, before I graduate. So I have that going on, a little hint of a personal life nowadays. And just I've been doing other things in general, but also watching other TV shows like keeping up on The Walking Dead and things like that. And there was a time during the season when I was sort of like slightly losing interest in this show, and that was kind of because I still kind of feel like there's like no real moment of like a main character will actually die, because we've had the same cast, the same main cast, the same supporting cast for a while now. There's only been a very, very small handful of big deaths in the series so far, at least to the point I'm at, which is at the end of Season 3. There's only been a couple notable deaths really. And that bugged me for a little bit, and also because I've heard spoilers both on the fault of myself and the internet and others. So I kind of know who's generally still around where they are at in Season 6 right now, which does kind of hurt some of it for me. But just because they don't kill any like main characters like overly often doesn't mean it's not a bad it doesn't mean it's a bad show, because this season, holy shit. Okay, I'll just say this pretty quickly, 2 minutes into the video. Season 3 is my favorite season of the Vampire Diaries so far. Yeah, I was really impressed by this season, guys, despite my complaining about no major characters dying. Some do, here and there actually, so when they do have it happen, it does hit you pretty hard. So yeah, it's just something that still bugs me a little bit about the show, like how characters like Caroline and Bonnie are still alive. I think at least one of them should be dead at this point. And and Tyler and Matt still being around, even though I like Tyler and Matt a fair amount too. But still, I feel like more of them should be dead at this point. But I guess that's just because I'm used to watching The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and stuff like that. So I guess I shouldn't really expect that with every show. But even a couple characters do die, like I said, every so often. So it's really not that big of a deal to me, just something that, gives me like a minor gripe towards it. But yeah, other than that, this season, I watched Season 3 right here, it was fantastic, man. All the way through, it really just has something interesting going on. But the show has always done that for me, because I'm sure I've mentioned this in my other general reviews of the show, for Season 1 and Season 2, that this show is just so damn consistent. From episode to episode, there's never like a dull filler episode. I mean, there's definitely episodes where they put, where they cram more into the episode than others. But each episode, despite some being a little bit more important than others, there's still something relevant that's going on. There's still character development, there's still character building, there's still really good character moments, there's little progressions in the story in every episode that is relevant to the main plot of the show at the time. And every episode, because of all that, feels important, and there's never a very, very dull moment in Mystic Falls. And I am just in love with the show, man. I'm just going to say it right now. This show is amazing. And, excuse my language, but fuck all the haters, man. Seriously. Because you read, Facebook comments saying, oh, yeah, fans of the Vampire Diaries are gay. Well, yeah, I'm happy watching the show, because that's what gay technically means. But really, if you're going to complain about the show, if you're going to, try to criticize, at least try to do it in an intelligent way. You know what I mean? Instead of, saying, oh, that's gay or retarded or something like that. If you're going to critique it, give me some valid reasons as to why you don't like it, okay? That's your opinion. But when people just act all mature and childish like that, you just can never credit those things or take them very seriously. And this show, I think, just surprises me. It's impressed me since Season 1. And yeah, I'm gonna keep watching the show. I mean, people say it gets worse, like in the later seasons, like especially, around like after season 4, season 5, and in season 6, which they're in right now. But I just care. I'm just too invested in the story right now to just stop. So I'm gonna see where it goes, and I'll see if I feel the same way about it. Maybe I will dislike it a little bit more than I do now. I mean, I love the show, but maybe I will start to dislike it. To a big level when I see that season. I don't know, but at this point, I can't really quit watching the show, man. It's just too good to me right now, and especially considering I consider season 3 to be the best season I watched of the show so far. And yeah, I don't plan on having this video go about 40 minutes like my other ones did. I think my season 1 review is actually closer to like 47 minutes. I could be wrong, but both general season reviews are like 40 minutes or over, and I'm gonna try to make this one a little bit shorter, hopefully 20 minutes or so at most. No promises though, but I'm trying to cut these down a little bit more for you guys. And I did want to run through my favorite episodes of the season though. The premiere episode, it wasn't like the biggest, but it really gave us like the lay of the land after, like season 2's cliffhanger of Stefan, giving himself over to Klaus and things like that. We got to see the aftermath of all that. We got to see where Damon and Elena were at, with Elena's birthday and different things like that, of that nature. Klaus building his army with Stefan, being under control because of Klaus, losing his humanity the more work he does with him and for him. And that was one of the best things, especially about the first half of the season, I'd say, was Stefan's character, Paul Wesley's Stefan Salvatore. He was a highlight of the first half, especially for me, because we got to see a completely different side to this character that we've seen glimpses of. I mean, we've seen Stefan's darkness, towards the end of season 1, but this really, really explored it. And we got to see, especially one of my favorite episodes is actually the end of the affair, episode 3 of this season, because we got those flashbacks of how Stefan actually knew Klaus and Rebecca back in the 1920s, and I thought that was really well played, because it was one of the lower points for Stefan's humanity when he met them. And he had that romance with Rebecca and stuff like that. And Rebecca, of course, is a very emotionally sensitive and emotionally reactive person. She'll act on her emotions, sort of like Damon, except she's probably a little bit more out of control than Damon is even at this point. But the end of the affair is really good, and just seeing a completely different Stefan, seeing him killing that news reporter that Damon had that fling with, and but then we see there's still that flicker of our usual Stefan who cares, and he's telling Damon just to have Elena forget about him, and try to just remove him from her mind and stuff like that. But this is all just really good. I mean, I could talk about each episode. It's of course it's hard for me to remember all the details of every episode, but if I could do specific episode reviews of every episode, I would. If I didn't feel like that would be too much empty space, because I want to kind of do the general review so I can get to season 6 and start doing episode by episode reviews weekly once I catch up. But season 6 will probably be over by the time I catch up, though, honestly. But yeah, Disturbing Behavior was a good one as well. With Caroline's father returning and things like that. I'm still not the biggest on Caroline, but it's really, I don't know. I think the actress who plays her is pretty good, but I just find Caroline to be a little bit annoying at times. But we could do, we're not going to focus on that right now. I also thought The Reckoning was a very good episode as well, episode 5. Pranks for the Memories. Senior Prank Night takes a dark and unforgivable turn for Caroline, Elena, Bonnie, Matt, and Tyler. With Tyler becoming a hybrid, and where Stefan was actually starting to break through, and we see that as Klaus says, the only thing that's stronger than, like his pull on Stefan that he's forcing is his love for this one girl. And just seeing how Stefan actually resisted Klaus's compulsion abilities was really a powerful scene in the gym and stuff like that. But of course, he is put under Klaus's control again. And another episode that was one of my personal favorites from the season was episode 7, Ghost World. And that was like such a unique episode in the series in general, because of course, because of the Illumination Night, like all these dead characters we see come back to life. Not really come back to life, but they are visible, and they're actually in a physical form temporarily, until it's over. And we see characters like Anna, of course, and okay, why am I drawing a blank here? Anna, some of the other vampires that worked with the tomb vampires, of course, that worked with Anna's mom, Pearl, of course. And then we also seen a little return of Lexi. And Lexi, I loved Lexi in season 1, so it was great seeing her actually come back and be able to interact with the characters where they're at now. And she, attempted to play a huge hand in actually leading Stefan back to his humanity, because as we know, Lexi had done that a number of times in the past when they traveled together. Lexi showed him, how he can still thrive on what he is without completely letting go of caring. And so Lexi was able to pull him back to his humanity before, and she tries to play a huge hand in doing it again. Unfortunately, she runs out of time, but she, before they all have to disappear. But she leaves Elena with the necessary ideas and concepts of how to try and bring Stefan back to, the way he should be, or maybe the way they'd want him, the more caring, understanding side of Stefan and stuff like that. And just seeing any Lexi and Stefan scene I've watched so far is just absolutely brilliant. There's just so much chemistry between those two actors and the characters in general. So that was all really, really good. And of course I love seeing Anna again as well. I love the actress who plays her. And seeing how much Jeremy actually still cares about her, I found to be very real, very relatable. And the fact that Jeremy was dating Bonnie at the time, which I kind of liked their chemistry together, but I was a little bit annoyed with Bonnie because she was completely put off by Jeremy getting back with Anna, even though she's a ghost, still a ghost technically, but he could still feel her and touch her. Of course, Elena was upset with Jeremy over that too. But think about it. Seriously, you guys need to cut Jeremy some slack. He's lost 2 girlfriends. 2 of his girlfriends are dead. And when one of them comes back, you're not even acknowledging how this would make him feel. You're not even saying, oh yeah, I get where he's coming from. I get, how he feels. I get why he'd want to sort of explore this again. You should sort of just accept that and let him, live, because he never got a chance to even end that relationship to begin with. Now that he would have if Anna was, always alive. And if she never died in the first place. And just seeing them still having the same connection they did back in season 1 was amazing. And it was really emotional when Anna finally had to go. Because she was, kind of holding Jeremy back in a way, because she was a ghost and, she could never, like Elena says, you can't love a ghost for the rest of his life. And that was sort of like a great parallel between, how she feels about Stefan. She loved who she met Stefan as, but this darker side of Stefan is completely putting her off, and, it's like the ghost of who she used to know. But, so that episode is very brilliant, and I at least love to see Anna finding her mom again, and seeing them reunite, with Pearl and stuff. That was a really touching scene. And, of course, with the whole Michael thing, Klaus's father, we got flashbacks of that, and, he's seeing how much turmoil their relationship was in a little bit more detail. And, of course, Damon, releasing Stefan from where Lexi and Elena had him. And, Damon sort of taking Stefan, for drinks and just sort of like, sort of doing like a more natural way of trying to bring the old Stefan back. And so yeah, everything with Michael was great, especially it all accumulated in episode 9, Homecoming, which I thought was very, very well done. And that had to do with, I'll just read the description to you guys. On Homecoming night, Elena, Damon, and Stefan's plan to bring Klaus back to Mystic Falls must come off without a hitch. That's where they're all trying to set up to kill Klaus, but of course they don't factor in how much of a danger Michael will actually be. Despite releasing him to kill Klaus, Michael is probably actually a worse evil than Klaus himself is. And just seeing those final few scenes between Klaus and Michael, Joseph Morgan, the actor who plays Klaus, just does a great job in this episode. And yes, the final confrontation between Klaus and Michael is one of the best scenes of the season, one of the best scenes in the series. With Michael telling Klaus no one cares about him anymore, no one cares about you anymore, boy. And yeah, I just completely butchered that scene in less than 5 seconds. But and of course Klaus actually finally killing Michael, despite the plans on from our other characters to kill Klaus. It fails because Stefan actually saved Klaus's life here, and Klaus actually thanks him for that. Thank you, my friend. And Klaus frees Stefan of that compulsion, and so the old Stefan comes back at this point. But yeah, because of all he's done since being with Klaus, like being the Ripper. I loved the Ripper Stefan, like all that development, and cutting up the bodies, and then like trying to stack them and like put them back together, which really, really twisting. You see how psychotic Stefan can be when he's at that point. And despite Stefan being brought back, being released of that compulsion, he still did all that while he was under the being compelled by Klaus, and because of that, he still lost a lot of his humanity that he still has to regain, which he actually does for the most part by the end of the season, which was a great journey for the character of Stefan. I love it. And yeah, let's keep on going. The stuff with Sage and Finn and things like that, it was okay. I thought the actors for Sage did pretty good for the most part. I wasn't that big on Finn though, so I didn't really care about that too much. Definitely one of the more dull originals. But so I'm glad he died when he did, but it was still kind of sad to see them sort of like die pretty much one after the other. And yeah, of course, everything with Alaric this season, man, it just hit me really hard, because Alaric I found to be a pretty likable character since season 1. And it's found to be pretty relatable to what happened to his wife and things like that. With I can't remember your name right now. Oh man. Ooh. Okay. Am I really forgetting your name right now? Okay, give me a second, guys. This is bugging me. Yeah, Isabel, of course. How could I forget her? Seriously. But, anyway. Yeah, I just found Alaric to be really relatable, and, of course, he found Meredith this season, the doctor at the hospital, and, she uses, like, vampire blood to heal her patients, so she kind of cheats, but, yeah, she actually saves lives, because that, stuff brings it back to health. And, let's see. There's just so much to talk about, like the return of Bonnie's mother, Abby, and their whole angle with each other about her Abby walking out over and over again, and Abby, of course, becoming a vampire because of things that are going on with Klaus is really sad to see. I do prefer Bonnie to Caroline, but Bonnie can get on my nerves a little bit occasionally too. But let's see, and Alaric this season, there's like this serial killer going around, and it turned out that Alaric was actually the one doing it because of Alaric wearing that ring that would actually prevent him from being killed by supernatural forces. Every time he'd come back to life, Alaric would, there'd be something chipping away at him, and he blacked out, and it turned out he killed Bill Forbes, Caroline's father, and the other two that were murdered. And so seeing Alaric's torment because of what he's done, even though he was completely out of his own control, was really tragic to see. And of course, with Esther, the original's mother, coming back, and, she actually had a plan to kill all of the originals, all her children. Of course, All My Children, the episode 15 is great as well. And, of course, I like seeing Elijah again this season as well. And Rebecca, I'm getting to be a decent fan of Rebecca as well, so I'm glad she becomes a main character on the originals too. And just Alaric actually being turned into a vampire, and just being completely everything he was against, except despite becoming best friends with Damon and stuff, there's still something he'd never want to be, and all the characters know that. So that was really tragic for that to happen to him. And of course that completely brought out his darkest side possible, and just every single thing that happened with that. And the goodbye that Damon and Alaric shared in episode, let's see, within the last few episodes of the series, not of the series, but of the season, seeing Damon and Alaric's goodbye to each other, and Damon actually apologizing to him, and seeing how deep their friendship actually ran. And then Alaric, started becoming basically a pumped-up original vampire, so he became this very powerful vampire because of Esther's stuff, to use him to use her ultimate weapon of the stake made of the white oak from the tree. The only weapon that can actually kill the originals, especially kill Klaus. And seeing Alaric being used like that was really, just, like I said, a very tragic part of the character for this season. And there's just so much to talk about. This show has 22 episodes per season. Season 4 has 23. There's way too much to talk about. I'm going to miss things, and I'm going to stumble, and I'm going to ramble. But yeah, so I apologize for that to you guys. And the final 3 episodes of the season were absolutely amazing, man. I'm sure I've said that a lot of this video, but Do Not Go Gentle, Before Sunset, and The Departed were all fantastic episodes. Some of the best of the series. Some of the best I've seen out of any show, really. And yeah, I just want to talk about some specific scenes. And if you guys look at my favorites list on my YouTube channel, you can actually keep up with what episode I'm on. Because each episode I finish, I look up the scenes for and favorite a lot of the scenes from the episode. So you can sort of keep track of where I'm at in the series as far as catching up goes. But yeah, just every single thing that happened with that. And of course with Elena struggling, always struggling to choose between Damon and Stefan. And of course the return of Rose, Elena kissing Damon and things like that. And like Rose explains it, Stefan's love is pure and he'll always be good for her. But Damon, he challenges Elena, he surprises her, he makes her question her whole life, and what she is pretty much. And Rose saying Damon will either be the worst thing for Elena, he'll either be the best thing for Elena or the worst. And this is the way Elena is pretty much forced to choose at the end when Alaric actually stakes Klaus, because his dark goal because of Esther is to eliminate all vampires, and if Klaus dies, anyone connected to his bloodline would supposedly die. And with Klaus actually being very much subdued by Stefan and the rest of them, and Before Sunset, Alaric actually staked Klaus and supposedly killed him. And so when Elena thought characters like Damon, Stefan, Tyler, and everyone connected to the bloodlines were dying, she had to choose whether to drive back to Damon to see him before he supposedly dies, or Stefan. So she kind of had to make her choice right there, and she basically explains to Damon that Stefan really brought her back, because after her parents died, she didn't really want to do anything. She didn't want to do anything. She sort of had that lack of humanity in herself because of what happened. How you're left completely cold after things like that happen. You just don't want to feel, you know what I mean? And that's of course a big part of the show. And she explains to Damon that Stefan sort of like brought that side of her back. He made her again, sort of put that life back into her, and but she actually acknowledges that if her and Damon had met first, it probably could have been different. It probably would have been different. But as Stefan and Damon had previously agreed, that whoever she chooses is okay, and then the other would leave town, the other brother that wasn't chosen by Elena. But that was all very much cut short when Rebecca actually causes the truck Matt is driving Elena in to crash, and poetically and tragically enough, it's off the same bridge that Elena's parents crashed off of in that accident. And Stefan shows up to save Elena, like he actually saved her, at the beginning of the series, with Elena's parents, except with Elena's father, or adoptive father anyway, telling Stefan to go for Elena first. And in this case, the parallel is that Elena told Stefan to save Matt first. And of course, Elena being the martyr and things like that, and that, she puts others before herself, at least some of the time. But and Stefan actually manages to get Elena out too, but not before she actually dies. And of course, we see the flashbacks to that actually happening with her parents, at the very beginning of everything. And it was just really, really upsetting to see Elena like that. And I just want to mention the whole thing with Alaric, dying before he was brought back as a vampire. That actually had me tearing up a little bit, and the whole scene between him and Damon and things like that. Anyway, and the season ends with Damon. Of course, we actually see a flashback to when Damon and Elena first met, and it turns out that Damon and Elena had actually met before her parents had crashed, with her off the bridge. So technically, Damon and Elena actually met each other first. That was before Damon had actually revealed himself to Stefan in Mystic Falls. And Damon was actually probably in town just before Stefan was, because Stefan was sort of like meandering around before Elena's car crashed, and he saved her, instead of her parents. So Damon had actually met Elena first, so in a way, maybe they're the ones that are meant to be. So keep that as a cliffhanger for season 4, of course. But so Stefan does pull Elena out after Matt, except she is actually dead, or at least, there's like a brain hemorrhage or something like that, like bleeding and stuff like that. And Meredith at the hospital actually gives her the vampire blood. And of course, when she drinks the vampire blood, that causes her to go into transition. And that is a huge thing for the series. And it looks like Stefan actually allowed that to happen as well. And so she's either going to have to feed at the beginning of season 4 and become a vampire, or Elena's going to die. And either, of course, obviously Elena's not going to die, so she's going to become a vampire in season 4. So I'm very excited about that, and seeing the character going on a completely different path in her journey will be really, really great. And Nina Dobrev just does a great job in general. She's done a great job since the beginning. Excuse me, my throat's starting to get pretty dry. But, I also love seeing Catherine in episode 9, I think it was. Yeah, Homecoming, seeing her, dressed as Elena and sort of fooling Michael and causing the whole thing with Klaus killing Michael and stuff like that. The whole boom with the Vervain grenades and the hybrids' faces and stuff. It was cool seeing Catherine like that. And, her actually telling Stefan that, to care and to feel and stuff like that. And she actually admits that she lets that part of herself in sometimes, that humanity part of herself. And that's actually still in Catherine. But anyway, what a really cliffhanger way to end the season, seeing Elena actually wake up and be in transition for the beginning of season 4. So yeah, that's a lot. And I know I jumped back and forth. I know I missed a lot in season 3 of the Vampire Diaries. If you guys want to discuss anything I didn't talk about, feel free to comment. I would love to, talk about it with you guys. Anything I missed, I would love to, just get my thoughts out there on it if you want me to put them out. So feel free to comment, and we can talk about anything I didn't go over. And I apologize because I know I stutter a lot. I know I dart back and forth between parts of the story. and I know some things I say might not make sense, but I still just love talking about the show with you guys. And I will do a season 4 general review once I actually finish it, which will still be quite a while from now again. But once I do, you can expect a season 4 general review. And yeah, season 3, great season, probably my favorite season of the show so far, just because of everything that was going on with Klaus, things that were going on with Michael, and just the end, the whole last few episodes of the season with Alaric, everything that was going on with him was just some of the best of the show I've seen so far, and better than a lot of other things I've watched in shows lately. And so yeah, Vampire Diaries, fantastic show. Season 3 was incredible, my favorite season so far. Can't wait to see what they do in season 4 in general, but especially with Elena most likely becoming a vampire. That's going to be very, very intriguing for the character and for a fan. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, great show. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. I'll probably be doing a video talking about my top 8 favorite characters from The Walking Dead, dead or alive this time. So my favorite characters of all time on TWD. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a bit shorter than my other Vampire Diaries general reviews by 9 minutes or so. But yeah, I hope you guys still enjoyed it, those who actually watched. But yeah, I'll catch you guys next time for my Walking Dead video and anything else I upload in the meantime. And peace. This is a great show. It deserves more credit. Love it. I do.